Welcome to the return of Chalk Talk. It's crazy to think that we've had a year hiatus with Chalk Talk. It's finally back after the year we had last year with the coronavirus and everything being shut down. I have a slew of guests to get through tonight as it's our football preview show as we are getting geared up around the peak of Ohio for week one of the high school football season. And I'm joined along with Coach Jason Brown, second season as the Chiefs head man, correct?
Yeah, second time around, second season, right,
Second
Tyler?
time around, second season with Bellefontaine. First of all, I want to talk about your health. How are you feeling, Coach?
Oh, I feel fantastic. Very blessed. You know, the episode we dealt with in our family last fall was so much prayer and outpouring of love from our school and our community, our church, our families, the community in general, really. Just, it was really special and touching. To have so many people express their faith in that way. Yeah.
So you had surgery back in late April this year, and if people around the peak of Ohio may not know, can you explain what surgery you had, if you want?
I had a double bypass open heart surgery.
Well, I'm glad everything's working well and you're in good health, Coach. I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you. I'm blessed. I'm very thankful, too.
So last year was your first year back to start your second stint as the lead man for the Chiefs. It went 2-5 last year. I mean, last season anyways was crazy in general with playing just conference games, 6 games, and then the playoffs. Went 1-4 in the Kent Troll last season. What are your thoughts on how the season went, especially everything given to you guys with the coronavirus going on?
Well, we just didn't play to the standard. We didn't perform to the standard of Bellefontaine football. And as a lifelong resident and a longtime member of the Bellefontaine football community, I'm keenly aware of how we didn't play to the standard. So that's been a common theme for us every day in the off season is performing and executing to the standard of Chieftain football. And that's really not about anybody else but us. You know, these seniors that are sitting over here and their teammates. Playing to the standard is what matters right now for us and competing in that manner.
So how has the preseason or the offseason been for you guys heading into this first week of football?
Well, thankfully for this offseason, we were able to get into the weight room and actually work out together and do some of the stuff we weren't able to do. You know, last year we had 4 months where we weren't even allowed to see each other.
Right.
And, you know, as a policy in our district. So this has been great in regards to keeping us connected as a program and connected to our workouts, and accountable is a big word there. So the off season has been good for us in that regard. And then, of course, as we've moved into the preseason, practices have gone well. We've been involved in 2 scrimmages, a 3-way with Van Wert, LCC, and Allen East, which was a highly competitive scrimmage. Of course, Van Wert's a state champion last year.
Right.
And, you know, we hang in there competitively right with all those teams. And then last week we turn around and scrimmage a team that's uniquely different from everybody else. You know, double tight end, double wing tee stuff. It's like kind of playing back in 1985 versus 2020.
Yeah.
But, you know, and they got us on our heels a little bit early, but we bounced back, kind of got our feet under us, and as soon as we started to get our rhythm, the lightning struck and we got called off the field. So, you know, for us, we've been in the kind of situations you want to be in
right.
scrimmages. You want to compete. You want to face adversity. You want to react to adversity. You want to have success and see how you react to success as well. So, you know, we've been through the gambit of some of that stuff here in the last 4 weeks.
Now, with how everything went last year, was there anything offensively or defensively that you may have thought about changing heading into the season on what may have worked for you guys on the football field last year and what may not have worked?
Well, you know, any coach that sits down with you, Tyler, is going to talk about the fact that in the end, football is about blocking and tackling.
Right.
So regardless of your scheme, you can have great ideas, but if you don't block and tackle well and your players don't believe in those fundamentals, you're going to struggle at times. So for us, we focused on blocking and tackling, and of course that helps me to keep my question or your question unanswerable. I won't give away any secrets, but you know,
Fair
people
enough.
have seen a scrimmage. You know, we've done a little bit offensively. We've kind of tweaked who we're going to be offensively in our identity, and defensively we're evolving into a manner that is more suited to our personnel.
Now, Sydney comes to town on Friday. What are they going to bring to the table for the Chiefs?
Well, you're talking about offensively a team that's got big play capability. Quarterback is a good runner, has excellent feet, can make plays with his feet, especially when the play breaks down. Got an excellent receiver, number 2. He's a fantastic wide receiver, great athlete. They're going to want to get the ball in space on offense, and they're going to kind of make it a basketball game on turf.
Yeah.
And so we've got to be ready for that. And defensively, a very scrappy team. You know, they got a couple defensive linemen that are big and physical, linebackers that'll run and scrape to the football. They do a good job of being in good positions. And again, very scrappy. You know, it's a tough Sydney team. You know, it's one of the oldest rivalries in the state of Ohio, over 100 years of these games. So all of us in the football community, we've seen them be barn burners, we've seen blowouts, and in the end, it is always going to come down to execution.
Right. What will be the keys to victory for the Chiefs Friday?
We got to play clean football. We can't hurt ourselves. We got to get some stops on third down for sure. And in the end, we got to capitalize in the special teams area when we can.
Last question before we bring the players that you brought on, Coach. The high school football playoffs, they were expanded last year, but because of COVID, every team was allowed to be in. This year is expanded again from 12 teams to 16. What are your thoughts on the expansion?
Well, they asked for the coaches' thoughts, and they didn't really listen to what the coaches had to say. So, you know, this decision's been made, and so we're going to deal with the decision that's been made. You can see both sides of the coin. It gives more teams an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and at the same time, getting into the playoffs maybe feels a little different because it's not that elite group. You know, we've evolved through the years. You know, before these guys were born, 4 teams made it. And then we were at 8, and then quick to 12, and all of a sudden we've jumped to 16. And, the participation part of it is a positive. And for us, you know, we just have to fight like crazy to make sure we're on the right side of things when it's all said and done.
All right, well, let's bring the 2 players you brought with you this evening. Tucker Newlin and Ethan Yoder. While they're making their way over here, Coach, talk about each player and what they bring to the field and who they are as people.
Okay, I've got Tucker and I've got Ethan. Both of them are seniors for us. Ethan Yoder is an all-conference returner for us. He's a receiver and a defensive back. He's a do-it-all guy on special teams, super vitally important on special teams for us. So, you know, he's a returning letter winner. Tucker is also a returning letter winner for us. He's been a stalwart for us at times in regard to the physicality that he brings to our team, whether it's on offense or defense. Special place in my heart for Tucker as a tiny little sophomore coming out and making a big play in an early scrimmage in a game against St. Mary's that I know he remembers. And so both of these guys have been big parts of this program through the years. Their class has been a small number. There's more of their seniors playing now than played when they were freshmen and sophomores and juniors. But these guys have been there through thick and thin every day and have been great chieftains. And beyond the fact that they're quality players, really great young men walking in our hallways, great examples for our younger kids. So Ethan and Tucker, there's some shining lights for us.
Well, let's start with Ethan. Ethan, if you want to grab the mic there. I just want to make sure you can hear me. All right. All right. So what's different this year with the Chiefs, with your team, than last year?
Well, I think that this year we've had kind of a lot more time to focus on throughout the whole summer, just the team specifically and building that bond that you want to have with your team as the season starts. And I think that the mentality change has kind of been big. I think that the mentality change has been a lot different this year. I mean, without having COVID to deal with and not knowing when we're going to play next, if we're going to play next,
Right.
I think that we just had a lot more time to just kind of focus on us as a whole and not worry about anything outside of that and just get down to business, basically.
Now, what's your guys' goal for this season?
Well, like most teams, we'd love to be a playoff team, but I think we really just want to come out and show our community, since we've had a year off, just that the Chieftains are back and we're here to stay. We're ready to go.
All right, Ethan, appreciate your time. Let's go down to Tucker. Might have to fix the cord length there the next time, but you're good. You're good. So, Tucker, I want to make sure you can hear me right.
Yep.
All right,
Yes, sir.
good. So, growing up, you're a senior, correct?
Yes.
What made you want to play football?
I always loved being physical, and I just loved the game. You know, at an early age, watched football, and I was like, man, I want to do that. And it's a brotherhood. You know, you come together, like it's family basically. Come together, love everybody. It's just yeah.
Now, I got coach's point of view of the game Friday, but I want a player's point of view. What can we expect from you guys out in the field Friday night against Sydney?
We're gonna
Hey,
try.
don't let him trick you. No secrets, Tucker. Okay. He's trying to trick us down. Don't let that happen.
We're gonna try and light it up and you know, play hard and come out and play the best we can. Not gonna give too much, but
All right, hey, that's fine. I understand that. Guys, I know we just got started, but we're running low on time. For you, Tucker, what's one goal that you would like to achieve this year?
win a CBC championship.
Hey, Zach, can you give that to Riverside? The one in the blue hat. If you want to sit there, Coach, and use the headset.
How many minutes before I got?
What time you need to be out of here?
I'm just saying before I get on the air. How many minutes I got?
A couple minutes. So whenever you're ready, whenever I'm ready. So.
As far as starting?
Yeah. All right. All right, Zach. Are we good? All right. Welcome back here to Chalk Talk, live at peakofohiotv.com. I'm now joined along with the head coach of the West Liberty-Salem Tigers, Coach Dan McGill. Coach, good evening. Thanks for taking time out of your evening and being here tonight.
Appreciate you having us.
So, 8 seasons, entering your 8th season, correct?
This is 9.
Nine seasons. All right. So last year was a very crazy year in general with COVID going on, but the Tigers went 3-3, 2-3 in the OHC. Kind of describe how the season went for you guys on the field last year during COVID.
It was a tough year. We actually ended up going 4-4. I know some of those games probably didn't get reported or whatever, but needless to say, it was a challenging year. You know, keeping kids healthy, keeping kids engaged, all those types of things. And so we're certainly glad it's back to normal now.
Now, I was looking at the roster earlier this week, but correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like there's more underclassmen for the Tigers this year than there are upperclassmen.
No.
If I counted it correctly, 12 seniors on the roster. How has the team come to form during this offseason?
It is an interesting roster makeup. We have a big team as far as numbers go. We have 54 kids on the roster, but 22 of them are freshmen. You mentioned I have 12 seniors, but 4 of those seniors are first-time players, and so it's you know, not a ton of experience in the upper grades. So, you know, even though we have a large number, there's still going to be quite a few guys taking the field that it's going to be their first real varsity experiences.
Now, there's no doubt, Coach, that the OHC has some of the best teams in football in this part of the state with you guys at West Liberty-Salem, Mechanicsburg, West Jeff, Fairbanks, Greenon, and so on. But what are your goals and the Tigers' goals heading into the season for the OHC?
Well, our goals are always the same. You know, we tell the guys we want to compete every single week to the best of our ability. We want to obviously compete for a league title, win a league title, make a run in the playoffs, and so that is what we do. So that's kind of the big picture goals, but we just focus on week 1. When week 1's done, we focus on week 2, and you know, we understand that you can't accomplish big goals before you accomplish small goals.
Right.
So today's mantra was we need to win on Wednesday, because we're never going to win on Friday if we don't win on Wednesday.
Right.
And so what does winning on Wednesday look like? And so we talked about that before we took the field today.
So how has practices been with the Tigers? I know last year, again, was a crazy year, and there was some times that you guys weren't able to meet up. So how was that? How's practices been this offseason, being able to meet up and be together?
It feels good to be back to normal. It does. It's good to have kids, in their drills, and they're not, spread out all over the place. And, communicating is a lot easier. Things can be a lot more hands-on. So we're very thankful for that.
Now the season kicks off Friday, and you guys get a home game to start the season, hosting a new look Graham Falcons team. And they lost a big player and part of their quarterback, Brady King, graduating last year. And they also have a new man in charge with Dave Tainer, who was the head coach at University of Urbana and another university, Lock Haven, I believe, in Pennsylvania. So what's the game plan been for the Tigers to get ready for this Falcons team?
Graham's a good football team. Coach Tainer knows what he's doing, and it shows on film. They're big. This could be one of the larger offensive defensive lines that we will see probably this year. They're very physical in running the ball, very physical in stopping the run, and they have some talented kids in skilled positions, so we're going to have to play very well.
What will be the keys to victory for the Tigers on Friday?
We have to hold up in the line of scrimmage. We can't get pushed around by their big guys, and we've got to make sure that we play assignment football on the back end, as far as coverage goes, and making sure that they don't hit big shots down the field, and we need to rally to the ball and make tackles in space. And offensively, we need to hold up. They send a ton of blitz pressure and try to put you in uncomfortable spots, so we need to make sure we can utilize some of our skills in trying to combat that.
I want to go back to looking at the roster. You were saying that there was 4 first-time seniors playing. How has the development of those guys been throughout your offseason?
Well, as first-year players, everything's new. I mean,
Right.
You are a freshman, only you have a more mature body. And so it's easier for those guys to physically be ready. But, I mean, to anybody that has ever played football, it's a language all to itself. Every verbiage that every team uses is different, and what you hear on TV, even if you're a football fan and you watch TV, that has nothing to do with playing, nothing to do with coaching it. And so every foot position, every hand position, every bend of the knee and hip is critiqued. And so that it's just, we always kind of say to these new guys, I said, listen, it's like you're taking a sip of water from a fire hose,
right?
And it's it's a lot coming at them, and so it takes some of those first-year guys a little while. And we've had first-year players who have been older guys come out, and once their mind catches up with their bodies, they plug right in and they help us out tremendously. And then sometimes it never catches up, and
right.
So these guys have something to prove, and all these guys have something to prove this year.
Now, last question for you, Coach. The high school football playoffs were they've been expanded the last couple seasons. Last year it went to 12. Then with COVID, everybody who wanted to be in the playoffs was allowed to be in the playoffs. Well, not even a year later, they expanded it from now 12 to 16. What are your thoughts on the expansion of the OHSA football playoffs?
I'm not a fan. I don't think that the majority of the coaches in the state were on board with it. I think making the playoffs has always been a really special accomplishment, and I'm not saying it is meaningless now. It certainly isn't, but what did we trade for it? We traded a shorter preseason, so we're getting kids less prepared, less ready to compete, so we could add a week at the end of the season, so the state could make money. And unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of it has to do with.
Lastly, Coach, what will be the actually, I think I already asked that, so never mind. Coach, you guys got Graham coming up again. That's going to be the WPKO Game of the Week. You'll be able to hear that live on 98.3 WPKO on Friday. And good luck Friday with Graham and for the rest of the season, Coach. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem. Coach Dan McGill. ninth season as the Tigers head man out there at West Liberty Salem. We'll take a quick pause, and we'll bring on Bryce Hodge, who is the head man at Riverside, and he has some of his captains out as well. We'll talk to them coming up here on Chalk Talk at Ron's Pizza, live at Ron's here in town, and on peakofohiotv.com as well. Coach, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. We're good. Good. You? Yeah? You guys practice early in the mornings? Yeah. We usually transition to hours. All right. Yeah. Just because I have several coaches. Real jobs? Real jobs. Yeah. What about you guys? We're in the evenings all the time because I'm on it. So where all our coaches are coming from. We don't hire it.
Two would be fine.
All right, thanks, man.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to you first, and we'll introduce the guys afterwards. Yep, and then you can use the mic. They can sit.
Using this guy?
Yep.
Hey, do me a favor. Don't ask me anything about practice this week.
Okay.
Okay.
What can I ask you about the offseason overall?
Yeah, there we go. That's a good one. It's not about this week.
How many years has it been for you?
This is year 3, but my 7th year as a football coach. Third as head coach. We went 8-2 last year. Beat Coach Fay last year. Just letting them know.
Welcome back here to Chalk Talk at Ron's Pizza, live here in Bellefontaine. It is located at 712 South Main here in town. You can come in, dine in, or call for pickup or delivery. It's 937-292-7775. As we are chugging along here on the return of Chalk Talk, live on peakofohiotv.com as well. First year doing that, so pretty awesome to have that aspect of things. Now, along with the Riverside Pirates, the head man, Bryce Hodge, and a couple of his players. We'll introduce them here later on in the show. But third year as the head man, 7th overall as a coach. How's things been with you?
Not bad, no. Doing well. Glad to be back at the school. New job, assistant principal. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be back with kids every day, and obviously still coaching football, which I love to do. So it's been going well.
So you guys had a really great year last year. Went 8-2, 5-1 in the old conference you're in, the NWCC. Talk about last season.
Yeah, it was a really good year for us. You know, it was a weird year because of everything that was going on.
Yep.
But, I mean, we were just grateful to play football, and the fact that we got 10 games in was great for us. You know, had a really successful season. Obviously had some talented players that graduated, some old guys up front on the O-line that graduated. So, you know, we have a lot to replace, but we're excited. We have a lot of guys with varsity experience, bring back, I think, 8 starters on the offense and 6 on the defense. So, you know, as grateful as I am about last year, you know, we definitely look forward, and we're excited for this season.
And one of those talented players that you guys lost was Cale Long. So he was a huge part for you guys offensively and defensively as well. But who on the team have you kind of noticed that is stepping up to maybe fill in those shoes of a Cale Long?
Everybody. I mean, Cale was definitely a great player, but you know, we also had a great offensive line blocking for him. It was a great team effort. So you know, that's something that we've talked about too. I mean, yeah, this guy on my right, Landon Stewart, is the fastest guy that I've coached in a long time. So I mean, he's a receiver. We got a handful of receivers that are going to help make up production. Miles Plattfoot took over quarterback about week 4 or 5 last season. He's a sophomore now, so he's got some experience under his belt. So, you know, that's going to help us out. We're going to be able to hopefully throw the ball a little bit more. Warren Shockey was a starting slot receiver. He's moving to tailback, quick, shifty, agile guy. Devin Frilling, another great receiver. So it's really just the game of football itself. It's a team sport. So, yeah, Cale was a great player for us, but we're just going to rely on our guys to step up and fill that production for us.
Now, I talked about your old conference, the NWCC. Competition's looking different this year as you are now in the new league, the Three Rivers Conference. That includes Bethel, Covington, Lehman Catholic, Miami East, Milton Union, Northridge, and Troy Christian. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But talk about the new conference, how everything came together, and the competition you guys are going to see this year.
Yeah, not too sure how everything came together. You know, I'm just glad that we were included. You know, grateful for the NWCC. We were in that for a long time, ever since the WCOC split in '97. So, but we're excited. We know it's going to be a challenge. You know, Milton Union and Northridge are Division 4. Bethel's Division 5, Miami East and Covington are D6, and then Troy Christian, Lehman, and us, we're D7. So But at the end of the day, they still have 11 guys on defense. We have 11 guys on offense. So we're excited about the challenge. Every week's going to be a challenge. Our non-conference is a tough slate. Our conference schedule is a tough slate. But with OHSA expand the playoffs to 16 teams, I think that's really going to help us be more battle ready come postseason time, as long as we take care of business and do what we need to do each day and each week. So we're excited about the new conference. Definitely going to be a challenge, but we can't wait to compete in it.
Now, you guys kick off the season on the road at Ansonia. What's the game plan been like for the Tigers?
Tough team. Honestly, they really kind of remind me of our team. Small school, farming community, kind of like stockier kids, bigger kids.
Right.
They've typically in the past been very run heavy. They're more of a gun look now, which they haven't been in the past. Defensively, they used to sit in a 4-4 for like the last 40 years, and now all of a sudden they're in a 3-3 stack. I'm assuming because of all the spread offenses that they probably face nowadays. So, they're definitely a tough team. I think they went 8. I looked yesterday. They were like 7-3 last year or 7-2. They had a great season last year too. So, it's definitely a tough challenge. 2 years ago, we went over there, lost in double overtime. So, it's been a few years since we beat them. Didn't play them last year because of COVID, but. They're definitely a tough program, great program. We have a challenge ahead of us, but we're excited.
And with this new conference, let's get back to that. What do you predict Riverside will do this year in the Three Rivers Conference?
We're just worried about getting better every day. So
right.
I have predictions. I'm worried about tomorrow, Tyler. So I want to get better at practice tomorrow. Those things will take care of themselves.
Okay.
Obviously, Riverside, we're one of the smallest schools in the conference. So we're used to being underdogs. That tends to fit us, and we like that role.
Yeah.
So we know it's a challenge. We're playing teams with 60 guys on their roster to our 39, which is great for us having 39. And then, like I said, D4 schools. We're D7. So we know it's a challenge. We're excited for the challenge. We're kids from a small town. Our guys are tough. Our families are tough. So we have guys going both ways the entire game and on every special teams. And then we're playing teams that have platoons, offense and defense. So we're excited for that challenge. No idea what to expect. I just know it's going to be a tough challenge, and we just want to get better every day.
Now, you brought up the playoffs. I've asked the two coaches previous before you, Coach McGill and Coach Brown. Well, what are your thoughts on the high school football playoffs and the expansions that we've seen the last 3 years, it seems like, from 8 to 12 last year, then that got scrapped really because of COVID, and now 16. So what are your thoughts on the expansion of the playoffs?
Yeah, so kind of like you said, last year they said it was going to be 12, and then everyone got in. Was not a fan of everyone getting in. I think that's what makes football special. Every other sport, high school sport, everybody gets in the postseason. It means something in football to make the playoffs. So I know why they did it, and it made sense for last year. At first, I wasn't a big fan of the expansion to 16. But, then I thought about it, and I'm like, if you give more schools, more kids an opportunity to play in a playoff game, why not? So at the end of the day, more kids get that experience. Anything, to me, that benefits kids is a positive. Now, there could be some blowouts, 1 to 16. There were some blowouts, 1 to 8 seed games, you know. So, that's just football. It's sports. It's going to happen. So, we're excited about it. Obviously, going into this new conference, a bunch of bigger schools and different divisions. So, I think it benefits us personally in our situation as a small school and a D7 but I'm excited about it because it gives more teams the opportunity to compete in the playoffs.
All right, Coach. Well, you got two guys here with you tonight. Introduce who they are and the positions they play and how they are on the field as players and off the field as people.
Okay, so I did bring my 4 captains tonight. The other 2 over there, hopefully ordering our pizza, getting it ready for us. So up here I have Landon Stewart to my right. He is a senior. He's a wide receiver, a defensive back. He's a corner. Does punt return, kick return. Also punts the football for us. Great kid. Moved in sophomore year he moved in. And I tell you what, I remember that year just watching him a couple times in practice thinking, man, I'm glad you're a Pirate. Just super athletic kid. Helps us out on offense, defense, obviously every special team. So really talented. I told you he's kind of our deep threat. And we have a couple other guys like Devin's another deep threat. He's 6'2", Devin's 6'2", deep threat, but Landon's got speed that a lot of guys can't really keep up with him. So that's a nice thing to have for us. And it's obviously very beneficial offensively. But then on the defensive side of the ball, great cover corner because no one's going to outrun him. And even if a guy gets a step on him, Landon's so fast he'll close on him. So just really good asset to our team. Great kid. I mean they're kids. Great kid, funny guy, nice kid. I love our team. I love these guys. I love our seniors. He's just a great guy, and I'm glad he's on our team. That's for sure. And then to my left, I have Zach Armbruster. He's our right tackle, and then a D tackle as well. Started last year at right tackle, so this will be his second year as a starter. Is that correct? Third year as a starter. Thank you. They're all running together now. So Zach's been right tackle for 3 years. Done a great job each year. You know, his sophomore year, we kind of threw him into like, hey, we need you. You got to learn quickly. But to see his growth over the last few years has been tremendous. Now he started out as a quiet kid. Now he's one of our leaders, you know, just by doing the work. Guy we count on the O-line. I only bring back 2 O-line starters this year, and he's one of them, obviously. So that's huge leadership-wise. And then, you know, defensively, we like to do a little bit more of a D-line rotation, but he's a starting D-lineman as well. So just both of them, great leadership. They're both great kids off the field. They both have 3.5 GPAs or higher. I might be lowballing them there. They're both, you know, they take care of business in the classroom and on the field. So they're great kids.
All right, well, let's start with Landon. Landon, if you want to take that mic. All right, so you were saying that you moved in sophomore year. Where'd you come from? Okay. So how has your development as a football player been throughout the years?
I feel like since starting the football program with Riverside, it's helped me tremendously. Like I feel like I've gotten way better as an athlete every single year, and especially with the weightlifting program we have. Our coach is Coach Ray. He's just pushing guys every day, and we're really getting better every single day in the off season.
Now, what did it mean to you when you were announced as one of the captains this year for the Pirates? And speaking of the season, do you have any goals for yourself and for the team heading into week 1?
For the team, I just hope we get better every day and live up to. And we've been working so hard at practice. Like we need to just go out there and get a good record and hopefully make the playoffs. And for myself, I just again hope I just get better every day and become a better athlete and a better person.
All right, Landon, appreciate your time. I'm gonna pass the mic down there to Zach. Zach, thanks for coming out. So, what got you into football? Why'd you want to play?
As a kid, I always grew up watching football. My dad, he watched football ever since I was little, so that was really something I always enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of an escape for me from reality, so that's something I really enjoyed.
Now, you guys are entering into a new conference this year. You get to really see some new teams that maybe you haven't seen before. How excited are you for that competition?
I'm pretty excited. The NWCC, they have some good teams. There's really good teams in here as well. So I'm excited to kind of switch it up and get away from them.
Now, heading into your senior year, week 1's literally a day and a half away, it seems like. Well, about 2 days away. Any goals? Any goals for week 1, and then for you and the team, and then for the rest of the season?
Obviously, for the team, we just try to get better every day at practice, have a good day, and coming into the game as well. We're trying to improve every day. That's our biggest goal, is to improve every day. And for myself as well, just to improve every day and help others.
All right, guys. Appreciate your time. Good luck Friday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Go Pirates.
Coach Hodge, along with Zach and Landon, 2 seniors, and 2 of the 4 captains there for the Riverside Pirates as they get ready to take on Ansonia this Friday on the road. We'll take a quick pause, and we'll have the new man for Indian Lake, John Routon, join us here on Chalk Talk. Live here at Ron's Pizza on South Main here in Bellefontaine. Come in, dine in, or call 937-292-7775 to place your order for pickup or delivery. We'll talk with the Lakers head man next here on Chalk Talk at peakofohiotv.com. Yeah. So far, so good. I got one. Coach, that's for you.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. And that headset you can use as well. Welcome back here to Chalk Talk, live at Ron's Pizza on South Main Bell Fountain. PeakofOhioTV.com as well with Chalk Talk. I'm now joined along with the head coach of Indian Lake, John Rapp. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. So first year as the head coach for the Indian Lake Lakers, but you're not new to the program. How long have you been with Lakers football?
This is my 18th year altogether. I spent 17 as an assistant under Coach Coburn, and then this is my first year as the head coach.
So what led you to take over for Coburn once he announced his retirement?
We had talked about it over the years and kind of had an agreement. If he wanted to coach forever, then I would have been totally okay being his assistant forever. But if he ever felt like he got to the point where he wanted to step down and do some more golfing and fishing, then I would be more than glad to take a shot at getting the opportunity to take over for him. And luckily, it worked out that way.
Now, the Lakers went, it seems like my records have been off a little bit, so correct me if I'm wrong, 4-5 last year.
Yes.
3-2 in the CBC Mad River Division. I know you weren't the head man, but you're still there. How did the season go for you guys as a team last year?
Well, just with the craziness, it's hard for me with all of the protocols and everything that was going on, just like watching film the other night. The centers spotted their own balls. I mean, little things like that. So the season was really consumed with all the differences and how the game was. I want to say that at times during the year, I think we overachieved. We were pretty young, starting a lot of guys, new guys in really important positions. Mm-hmm. And then other times I thought that we should have played a little bit better than what we did. And I think that's kind of what I'm looking forward to this year is those guys that last year were new in important positions or roles. They're not new this year. They've got a year under their belt. They've taken the hits. They've seen the looks. So last year was kind of just kind of like with all the different protocols and everything in place. I felt like our team was very similar, and we would overachieve at times. Then other times I think we would fall short of overachieving, and it was just kind of back and forth. And that's what we're looking for this year is more steady across the board.
Now, you talked about a lot of guys being really first year in some important roles, but a lot of those guys are coming back, as you mentioned, like your quarterback, Caleb Worcester, Elijah Slagle. What's the depth like? And kind of talk about how the team is having some big-time players and veterans come back.
Yes, it makes the summer work all that more valuable. Well, it's valuable no matter what. When you got new guys, you need that summer work to get them reps, but when you have experienced guys, you get more reps in. It's less stopping and talking and more reps because they already understand the answers when something happens. So it felt like we got more done throughout the summer than we did last summer, and then that carries over into practices, scrimmages, and hopefully into games as well. Just the amount of reps that we get in and looks and just having that experience, we get to go faster in practices than slower, which is ultimately our goal.
Now, it seems like with the CBC Mad River Division, it's kind of really open season with the competition. How are the Lakers going to fare this year in the CBC Mad River?
That's a really good question because, you know, you always got North Union, who is always hangs around the top. But then after the scrimmages, I start to hear things, you know, trickling in about Graham's really putting it together. And then I hear something where Urbana's really putting it together and had some nice scrimmages. And, you know, Ben Logan always rolls out a really good varsity team and can compete with anybody. So it is, like you said, it's an open season. It's there for anybody.
So how favorable do you think the Lakers are maybe taking the top spot?
If, you know, I had to be right now on the spot pick, if obviously for me it comes down to two things. If, well, really one thing, and that is health. If we can stay healthy, I think we're going to be able to do well. You start to get little injuries here or an injury there, and you got to take this kid and move him here, but then move this kid over there. Then things start to get jumbled up, and then we don't get to do what we really want to do offensively and defensively. So staying healthy because of a lack of depth in a couple certain positions is really kind of driving us right now.
Now, as you mentioned, you've been with the program for many years, and it's the first year as the head coach. Have you really thought about maybe changing, and you don't have to give anything away, obviously. Have you really thought about maybe different things to like change up from what Coburn used to do as a head man, like offensively or defensively, or have you really just kept things the same?
System-wise, offense, defense, very similar. And people have asked me this since last January, and if it wasn't a system that I didn't believe in, then I would have worked with Coburn and the assistants, because it's all the same assistants that we had last year. We wouldn't have run it in the past with Coburn. So obviously we ran it with him. We believed it. All of us helped to build it. So obviously we're sticking with it. Every year's different, and it was the 17 years that I was with him. Our system's the same. Now the system changes a little bit depending on your athletes and the personnel that you have. You know, some years you're going to run the ball more because you got better linemen for run blocking and running back. Some years you're going to throw the ball more because you have more skill at receiver. Right. So the only changes system-wise will be based off of personnel. And kind of my hope is that the average fan on Friday night sitting up there and they watch, they don't notice much of a difference system-wise because there really isn't much. The biggest differences are in practices and how practices are organized and how we start practice and what we do in practice and how we finish. We've made some changes there, but nothing big overall to the systems.
And speaking of practice, how have practices been with you guys throughout this offseason?
Very good. Like I said, when you have a lot of older guys, experienced guys, you get a lot faster reps.
Right.
Which is nice because then you get more looks, you get more in. The adjustment has been is the speed at which we are running practice and getting in and out of drills and doing stuff. The players have had to adjust to that, just like today was our first day of school and coming out after school, getting out on the field. When we do compared to the past, the freshmen didn't know any different, but the older guys, it was kind of a shock to them.
Right.
And it's really been an adjustment for us coaches too, because we have done it, the other way for so long that now it's we're having to adjust to these new changes. The players are, and there's some days where we realize, we can't do it this way, and we've got to change that. And
right.
So hopefully over time we can work out all those kinks and the details. But overall, I've been very pleased because the speed at which everything is going, which is what we want because the speed of Friday night is very fast.
It is, yes. And how has the development of Caleb Worcester been, the quarterback? Because he started last year, first time behind the center, leading the Lakers at QB. How is the development of him now a year in that position?
Oh, he has developed tremendously. Just his confidence. He knows a lot more now what he's looking at than he did last year at this time, which then allows him to fix the little things that we couldn't fix last year because we were worried about, we got to take care of these big things first. And then now that he's got the confidence and he's more comfortable, the speed of the game has slowed down, which means now he can worry a little bit more about, all right, footwork. Where does my shoulders need to be on this throw, or where do my feet need to be on this throw? So by him having the confidence and the experience, it's allowed us to really dial in on the little things.
Now, you guys opened the season on the road, taking on the Anna Rockets, a team that you guys finished the season off with last year. And, again, that really didn't go in the Lakers' way. What can we expect Friday night when you guys take on Anna?
Anna's a very good team. They did not graduate very many from last year. It is going to be they're a very tough opponent. And that, like I said, just last year's kind of like just a blur on how everything went.
Right.
And that was at the very end of the year. It was after the playoffs. It was rain. So they are improved from last year, but we are also improved from last year. And take the variables away. Like I've told the guys, it's going to be one of those all-out 48-minute brawls, and they got to be willing to go to the very end to win a game like this. And so it's going to be a good test early on to see, to see if we're able to go the distance to win a game.
Now, what would be the keys to victory for Friday for the Lake?
Well, I'm always going to start out with stay healthy, no injuries. It's going to be important for us early on to get key guys breaks and rests here and there to keep them fresh as long as we can. And then be able to go fast, be able to go keep up with them on when they're on offense and getting our defense set and making our checks that we need and making sure that our offense is dictating. Last year they dictated a lot when they were on defense of what we could and couldn't do, and we've got to make sure that our offense can kind of dictate, well, this is what we're going to do and what we want to do, and then be able to go out and do it.
Last question, Coach, and I've asked the Bellefontaine, West Liberty, and Riverside already this question, and I'm going to ask Coach Fay, too, when he hops on. The Ohio high school football playoffs have really been an elite thing when it was 8. Last year, the OHSA decided to expand it to 12. Well, that got scrapped because of COVID. Not even a year later, they expanded to 16. So they doubled it within like 2 years. What are your thoughts on the 16-team playoff format now?
It's kind of crazy because it's really you catch me on a day. The 4 years that I played at Indian Lake and now the 18 years that I've coached at Indian Lake, I was obsessed with making the playoffs. I could never do it as a player. Spent all those years trying to get Coach Coburn there and Indian Lake there as an assistant coach, and then 15, we finally did it. So there'll be days where I'll go really positive that, yes, 16 teams, that's that many more kids that get to experience what a Friday night in the playoffs. And then I'll have days where I'll go, will it lose its luster? Because now it's almost doubled in a couple years, like you said. I guess what I tried to always ground myself with was when I was in high school, only 4 teams made it. So in 2000 or 2001, when it changed and it went to 8 teams, was it not prestigious then?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd like to go and ask some of those guys back then when it doubled from 4 to 8. So I'd be curious to see if it lost, some of its prestige when it went from 4 to 8. And now that it's going from 8 to 16, just to kind of give me perspective, because it was after I was out of high school and I was in college, so it didn't really affect me. And then when I started coaching, it was 8. So, yeah, it might a little bit, but I think in the end, I think I get more excited to know that more kids are going to be able to experience Friday night playoff football.
Yeah. All right, Coach. That's all I got for you tonight. Appreciate it. Good luck Friday with Hannah.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Coach John Rapp, first-year head coach at the Indian Lake Lakers, but he's been with the program for many, many years. Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Hey, you too. When we come back, we will wrap up the show. We'll talk some Benjamin Logan football with their head coach, Jeff Fay, live here at peakofohiotv.com and at Ron's Pizza here in Bellefontaine. Coach, how are you doing?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm doing just well. All right, that headset is yours. All right. Back here on Chalk Talk, peakofohiotv.com and Ron's Pizza, live here at Ron's, South Main here in town, 712 South Main to be exact. That is the address. And the number to call if you want to call for some pickup or delivery, that is 937-292-7775. And I'm joined along with the head man of the Benjamin Logan Raiders, Jeff Fay. Coach, thanks for being a part of Chalk Talk tonight.
Oh, thanks for having us. As always, we appreciate your guys' coverage and attention you give to, student athletes around.
Hey, no problem. We love our local sports, and we want to make sure that they are covered as much as we can possibly cover them. Now, what year is it, Coach, for you as the head man?
People have been asking me that. I don't know that I could tell you. I believe this is my 20th year coaching at Ben Logan. I believe this is my 8th year as head coach.
All right. Now, last year you guys went to, now correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the records that I've gotten from online have been wrong. 2-6 last year overall, 2-3 in the CBC.
We were 3-7 last year, I believe.
All right, 3-7.
Yeah, we got 10 games in.
All right. But let's talk about the season. What worked, what didn't last year for the Raiders?
Say it again.
What worked last year for the Raiders and what didn't?
Last season?
Yes.
I mean, obviously last season with COVID and all that kind of stuff was a wild ride. I think in a lot of ways we're going to be dealing with a similar wild ride this year. We just don't know what that looks like yet. Our kids last year, they responded well to that. We had a lot of seniors on the team. And, we managed to get through without any issues for, those 14, 15 weeks that we were together. There were a lot of instances, though, where we went into an Allen East week last year, a game we ended up losing, and we didn't know who we were going to play on Wednesday.
Really?
And ended up playing them on Friday. So, there were a couple weird weeks and situations and stuff like that where you just got to kind of roll with the punches and learn how to deal with adversity that doesn't really exist inside of a football field in a typical season. But those kids played well and responded well to those types of things.
I think just going through all the weirdness last year, not just with you but with all the coaches, I think it made us a lot tougher and a lot more aware of what could possibly happen in the football season, right?
Yeah, in the football world, like one of our terms is keep your head on a swivel. It forced all of us from adults to our 7th and 8th grade programs to keep your head on a swivel because you have no idea what's going to happen.
That is for sure. So one thing that we do know that happens is graduations. You guys have kids come and go through the program, but you guys lost some big names to graduation this past season, like Tanner Perkins, who was your quarterback, Kanan Stoner, who has really stepped up their game to fill the roles of those seniors you lost for the Raiders this year.
Yeah, in reality, coming into this season, we've graduated our entire offense and our entire defense.
Oh, wow.
So, quick count in my head, we have 3 returning starters that have seen, varsity football time. In James Buffington, Luke Hemmelgarn, and Alec Rodenberger, just real quick off the top of my head. Obviously, we do a great job, I think, of making sure that we get freshmen, sophomores, juniors that aren't, necessarily a position player into the special teams game and stuff like that. We do a great job keeping our JV guys together and our coaching staff, all coaches, JV. We don't have JV coaches per se. So, we've done a lot in preparation for this, but that when the lights come on a Friday night, we're a very inexperienced team, not young, but inexperienced right now. So
you talked about the 3 returning starters that you guys had from last year. How pivotal has it been with those 3 to help the young guys out throughout this offseason?
Those 3 guys have, as soon as we hit the ground running in November or whenever their, winter seasons or spring seasons were over, those guys bounced right into the weight room with us, right onto the track with us, and they've been kind of the driving force behind a lot of what we've been doing. Is motivating each other and being good leaders and all that kind of stuff. And we have several juniors. I would say 5 or 6 juniors right now that are doing the exact same thing, and we've prepped them as coaches to kind of pick up the slack of, not having a massive amount of seniors.
Right.
So, and that's something that I've seen. Other schools are going through it right now. I know Northwestern deals with things like this. We're kind of on a roller coaster. We'll have a big class, small class, big class, small class, and those small classes are always bookend by 2 big classes, and interest wanes in all sports.
Right.
Our basketball team a couple years ago didn't have seniors at all, so it's stuff we see. We'll go through this again in 2 years. We have a small sophomore class right now, so.
So how has practices been with the players that you have on the team? Have you seen really anybody really step up who has that inexperience?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an endless amount of names of kids that are stepping up and filling in those roles. Quarterbacks, linemen, wide receivers, DBs, linebackers, defensive ends. We had kids popping up and surprising us every single day we're out there. Our practices are high intensity, high rep. Just a massive amount of movement. And kids are doing a phenomenal job, suffering through that type of adversity that we throw at them. So,
now, well, Coach, what are your goals this year for the Raiders?
I don't know. Your typical cliche goals that you have going into week 1, right? We want to show up on Friday, get off the bus over there at Triad, and have a great evening. we want to get through as many games as possible with the fewest amount of injuries as possible. We want to set small goals, overcome our short-term adversities, and create a group of kids. I echo this all the time to our kids. Create a group of kids that are good in the classroom, and kids that are going to be great fathers, great coaches, great husbands, and all that kind of stuff. So, we build incredibly long-term goals, but those short-term goals on a daily basis are getting us where we're going. And I tell kids all the time, like, I want you to be. I mean, my 2 children are around the program constantly. All of our coaches' kids are around the program. I want you to be a great role model for those little kids right there, because they're the ones that are going to be playing your positions in a couple years.
Right.
And hopefully, you're on my staff someday, and we think that highly of you because of the work you've done now.
Yeah. So speaking of Triad, that's who you guys open up with this Friday. And they had a decent season last year with everything going on. They went 5-5. What would be the keys to victory for the Raiders?
Yeah, sure. So we didn't get to play them last year because of COVID. Their league put us kind of in a week 1 bind. We had to pick up another game and all that kind of stuff. But so we ended up picking them up in a JV game later on in the season, and things kind of relaxed. They're a physical team. They do some weird things. They have an off cadence. They've got they do some formational stuff that is awkward, and I haven't seen yet. Obviously in the preseason, and probably won't see other times throughout the year. So they got some big physical kids, and that's what we're looking forward to. So for us, just out physical them. Like that's the goal right now, is to out physical them, outpace them, just outrun them for 4 quarters. It's going to be a blast.
Now, I've asked all the coaches before you this question, and you said that you've been with the program for many, many years.
Yeah, sure.
So a lot of coaches really viewed the high school football playoffs very elite when it was 8. Then it got expanded to 12 last year. Well, that got scrapped because of COVID. Well, not even a year later, they expanded it to 16. What are your thoughts on the expansion of the high school football playoffs heading into this season?
I don't know. I feel like old saying this. So in the 90s, when I played football in high school, playoffs were 4 teams. I got into them. It was prestigious getting into them. That was huge. When they extended it to 8, I hated it then. But you learn to adapt, right? Like 8's fine. It's a good number. I thought in the off season when we were talking about, as coaches around the state, the number 12, I saw some issues with that. I hate the idea of 16. I think it's an attempt by the OHSAA to make as much money as they possibly can off of high school athletes, if we're being honest. Obviously, I see the opportunity for kids to get an 11th game, and that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Like I wish we played as many football games as we played basketball games. Like, sign us up. We'll be there every Wednesday, every Friday. And more reps, more opportunity, all that kind of stuff for kids is great. But it takes the prestigious kind of element of Ohio football playoffs away, in my opinion. I'll be excited we get there. I'll be just as thrilled as I was a couple years ago when we were there. We'll print T-shirts and make banners, and we'll do everything that all the other schools are going to do. Because it's still the playoffs and it's still exciting. But I worry about the direction that it's headed.
I do have one last question for you. I was thinking of it while you were talking. The season got pushed up a week. Technically, the season should be starting next Friday. So what are your thoughts on the week early start?
Yeah, so that would be like, I don't know, maybe one of the complaints I have about this as well. Really, the only way to put more people in the playoffs, you can't push it into basketball season.
Right.
So you got to pull it out of the summer. So when you look at that, like, kids are going to go into this week with, in a lot of ways, fewer reps, fewer scrimmages. You get some teams like us, like we weren't able to do our first scrimmage because of a positive COVID case. So we're really rolling into this with, maybe 40 live offensive snaps, 40 live defensive snaps. In a scrimmage against Kenton that we did very well in, but was shortened by lightning. So, the cards are stacked up against a lot of teams right now because you've taken some scrimmaging away, you've ran some circumstances up to the final minute, and so, like I said though, like I see the reasoning. more reps, more opportunity for kids. That's cool. I'm good with that kind of stuff. But I worry about the direction.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Good luck Friday.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Jeff Fay, head man of the Benjamin Logan Raiders, as we wrap up Chalk Talk here tonight. Thank you all for all the guests coming out tonight, being a part of the show, and for all you tuning in and watching live at peakofohiotv.com. Appreciate that. Hopefully everything went well with the stream, and you were able to watch it well at home as well. And thanks to Craig, the owner of Ron's here in Bow Fountain, for the hospitality, as always, when we have Chalk Talk. We'll be back next Wednesday live here at Ron's Pizza on South Main Bow Fountain and here at peakofohiotv.com. For Tyler Avila and all my guests, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another edition of Chalk Talk.